this is your company. And like Steven said earlier, no one's going to care about your billing as much as you, right? Because that's how you get paid most of the time. It's super important as starting up, you don't just delegate that and give that over and completely walk away from it. You need to decide how, like, to what level you're going to stay part of the process. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to ABA Business Leaders Podcast, brought to you by 3 Pi Square. I'm April.
Hi.
I think this is Steven. Are you Steven?
I think that's my name.
You're Steven? Yeah. Low energy Steven today. Well, welcome so much. We're glad to have you here. We are so excited about this Back to Basics 2025 edition series that we have going on here. It's really, I think you guys are liking it too. We're getting a lot of feedback and a lot of increased listens and all of the good things, all the data that we follow over here at the podcast. So thanks for listening. We really appreciate you. We couldn't do it without you. Well, in this Back to Basics series, this is where we go back to the foundations of running an ABA business. Whether you're dreaming about starting a company, already running one, or preparing for what's next, we'll meet you where you are. And here's the truth. The earlier you start working on these foundations, the better your chances of success and the fewer problems you'll face, and the smoother your growth will be. Just like in clinical practice, early intervention makes all the difference. So each episode, we will focus on one core business topic and talk about what it means if you're starting, scaling, or transitioning. So no matter where you are in your journey, you'll walk away with clarity and next steps. That's our hope for you today. Really excited about today's topic. Super excited about today's topic. Today's topic, are you ready for this, everyone? Billing! Yay! Crowd goes wild. Everyone loves to talk about billing. Isn't it the thing that we want to talk about all the time?
Yeah.
You should be, right. Like, you should be really interested and excited about talking about billing today because you have new exciting things going on in the world of billing.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
What's that?
We now do billing.
What?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Did you know this?
I didn't know this.
Well, I surely aren't doing it. So who's been doing billing then?
I don't know.
If you don't know about this.
Yeah.
So is this why you're so tired?
Maybe it is. Yeah, maybe I do it in my sleep. Yeah, so we do billing 2.99%. The thing that I'm probably most excited about, though, is our Chief Fractional Billing Officer program, I guess that's what I'll call it for now, where we take over your billing and then we put ourselves out of a job. So we will train our replacement, which would be your in-house team. Now, after our training is over, we can continue to provide oversight to make sure that the key performance indicators are being met, but that would be at a reduced fee if you want to go that route, or we can train you on how to track them. So that's totally up to you, how you want to handle that. The idea is that month 1 through 3, we will get to know your specific billing, and we will write all of your policies and procedures. And then month 4 through 6, we will train our replacement. And then month 7, you say goodbye. And if you need us again, because you get a new clinic and you don't have the capacity, give us a call.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yep.
Exciting times.
I don't know of any other billers that will work themselves out of a job. So, but I think it's important, and I know a lot of people want an in-house team. I will, if I'm being completely honest, I tried to outsource it 3 times, and they were too highly, when we had our company, I found, and I was doing this So I knew a lot of people in this space, and I got a lot of recommendations on certain billers, and I tried them. And ultimately, it did not work out. And so we kept our billing in-house. And so I know that many of you want to bring your billing in-house because even at 2.99, if you're in the 3 to 4 million in revenue, 2.99 doesn't make much sense either. So if you can bring that in-house, it's probably more cost effective. You have more control over it. It's probably time to bring it in. So if you're in that, if you're in that revenue, in that amount of revenue, that 3 to 4 million, reach out and we'll build your team. So,
well, you're building the billing team that you wanted, that you wished was available.
Yeah, I mean, this is all. I think almost all the products that we make,
that's what we do.
is, man, I wish I had this when we started our company. That's what we want this to be. So we're not here to be your long-term partner. I mean, we can be, but most of the time you need support for a short period of time so that you can do it yourself, because it's your company, not my company, it's yours. And this is no different. And that's what our chief fractional billing officer program is meant to be, so that you can have your team, not my team. Because as much as I want to do your billing, I can promise you that I don't care about your billing as much as you do. It's not possible for me, because that's just the way life is. And this is the same reason why when we help people with rate negotiation, which I think we hit on that in this one too, maybe, I don't know anymore. We recommend that you do your rate negotiation. I'll help you, but you're the face of it, because no one cares about your company as much as you do. So yeah, that's it.
All right. So for many of you ABA business owners out there, billing feels overwhelming. Whether it's getting credentialed with insurance, staying compliant, or keeping track of what's coming in, what's going out. We used to say, like, we have this much amount out in insurance land, meaning it's there. We just can't use it yet because it's not in our account. And that's what a big piece of billing is, right? It's like getting that money from insurance land down to real world here in our pockets, in our bank accounts, so that we can use it to pay rent, pay our staff, all the things that we need the money for as a business owner. So no matter where you are in your journey, billing plays a huge role. So from startup to growth to preparing for sale, the good news is you don't have to do it alone, as Stephen already said. Not only us, but there are a lot of supports out there. And so part of starting up is looking to see who's in the space, who do I want to reach out to, what do I want to learn about billing first. So for the starters, I think that billing starts earlier in the process than most might think. It's super important to get all of those pieces lined up. And most of this can be done like as soon as you've figured out your name and what kind of business entity, and you have those pieces checked off. Mm-hmm. And then at that next, and please correct me, but if I'm wrong, if I'm missing something or if I'm wrong, but then at that point you can get like CAQH set up, MPI, and then you start to reach out to different payers. So you start to do research, right? Research who's in your area. Are there any big companies in your area that have a certain payer? Then also, of course, another decision that's in those first steps are you going to do billing in-house or are you going to outsource? Mm-hmm. And as we've already kind of alluded to, we've talked about numerous times before, that's a situational thing that can change. It's not, you've made that decision and you have to stick with it for the life of your company. That is one of those decisions that we see switch back and forth depending on.
Like, there's a very common path journey in billing for ABA companies, BCBA owned especially, is normally you will take on the billing initially because maybe you're just like me and you're cheap, or maybe because
you're got some money to put into it.
Yeah, you're a control freak like me, and you cannot give up that kind of control, because if you're not making money, then you can't pay your staff and you can't pay your mortgage, and that's a big deal. So I do recommend that at minimum you have some training on billing. And so we do have a course on our website too. It's right now, I think it's $150. It's about 7 hours of training. It goes through the basics. It's not going to go state specific, but it does go through. Correct. It's going to go through. It's going to give you those general questions that you need to ask all payers, right? And how denials work, how authorizations generally work, how billing generally works. We go through a clearinghouse, and I mean it's fairly comprehensive for a basic billing course. So that I would highly recommend that you have some training on, and then do your own billing. Just see how it is. It's not super difficult. It's going, like, there are going to be weeks where it takes you 15 seconds, right? And then there are going to be weeks where it takes you 15 hours. And what typically happens is that when it's going great, it's going great, and you can handle all 10 of your clients and everything's going good. And then normally what happens is that you have some client issues, maybe a staff quits, and then all of a sudden you start getting denials for no reasons, and you can't handle all of it at once. So what happens? You do the things that you're supposed to, which is the clinical side, taking care of your clients, and you let the billing go for a little bit, and then it snowballs, and now you're behind. So then what we normally see is everybody has a breaking point, whether that's 5 clients, 15 clients, 20 clients, whatever it may be. Then they outsource it. And then, like I mentioned, you hit that 3 million, you hit that 4 million in revenue, which really doesn't take all that long.
Seems like a big deal.
It's really not.
You get there pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can get there pretty quickly. And then you're like, okay, this does not make sense to pay 6% or whatever it may be that you're paying, and then you bring it back in house. And those transition periods are quite chaotic, right? Because you may have your billing down, but you just do not have the time or the willingness to do it anymore. And then you transition it to a biller, and there's going to be some bumps because somebody's taking it on. And then when you transition it out of the biller, then into your own in-house, that can be very bumpy too. So that's the basic journey of ABA billing.
Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
I love this. Sorry, I'm just distracted. My eyes are feeling gritty, and my face is getting really red hot. If you can see me on YouTube, I look like I'm sunburned. Yeah, I'm nervous. Our child was coughing this morning. I don't know, any of you moms or teachers can hear that cough, and you're like, oh. And there was some emotional stuff, and that's typically lets you know you're not. Okay, let's knock on wood. Let's get through this.
I don't think that's what actually wood.
Well, IKEA. Let's knock on IKEA substance. Whatever. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so
pulp.
Knock
on pulp. Wood pulp.
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah. It's like what we are recording this in October. It's now officially October. This is this is a fun month. I hope we don't get sick. Okay. Let's see. So for those starters, okay. So the other big piece, it's not just for new startups it's important for new startups. You'll see this throughout the life cycle too in different situations, but let's really focus on it while we're talking about startups. So it's understanding. So now you've decided, who you're going to reach out to, like to apply to be in network with certain companies. Let's say you've picked we want to pick more than one, right? So let's say you've picked your 5 and you're going to see, because some may not be open for new providers. Some you may get the contract and you're like, yeah, this isn't for me, right? So pick like 5, right? And apply for them. Some may have, like a pre-audit, like a network audit. So you have to do a list of things and supply information. And some are as simple as signing a couple of lines and putting your right numbers and stuff in there.
And then just something to be aware of, because I do hear this quite often. Well, I just won't do the in-network audit. I just will not go in-network with that company because I don't want to have to deal with that. Like, even though these other funders may not have an in-network audit, they still require all the same stuff. So they still require that all of your staff are CPR and first aid trained. They still require that you have background checks. Some of them actually have a very specific background check. So they still require bloodborne pathogen training, mandated reporter, HIPAA
so
compliance.
If you haven't already heard the last week's podcast,
go back to basics, back one.
Well, yeah, go back one and the back to basics and the policies and procedures. And we talk more about like why you should have these things, even though you feel like you don't need to have these things. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. Just because they don't have a lengthy in-network audit doesn't mean that you don't already have to have these things done. So sometimes going in network with one of these payers that has a lengthy in-network process can be very helpful to help you get your things in place.
I think it's a good idea,
especially
to be honest,
if it's
to get a third party to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either that or go through, one of the accreditations. Yep. So okay. So you've decided who your payers are. You've started reaching out, seeing how to apply, working on your in-network audits, getting contracts back. So first of all, never sign the contract until you read it and understand it. And this is one of the things that I didn't understand. Luckily, I had Stephen, who mostly took care of that part. But when he started transitioning out of our company to really work on building 3Pi Squared, I was in the position where I had several contracts land from payers, and they were ongoing payers. So you would think I would have been knowledgeable about what they meant, but to me, it was the first time I had read some of those contracts.
Yeah, she couldn't afford my rate.
I couldn't afford his rate, so I had to make some mistakes. Back in a previous Back to Basics, one of the first ones we talk about, operating agreements. I didn't even think about this when we did talk about that, but I think that's something that you should agree on if you're working with a partner.
Take care of the contract
is that you should have, even if it's like a check-in, even if one person is the person that takes care of the contracts, you should both be knowledgeable. All partners should be knowledgeable about the contracts and understand, right? In case you're ever in the situation where the other needs to. That's just my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. So as far as your contract, before you sign it, make sure you understand it, right? And so reach out. If you read it and you do some research on some of the terms and parts of it, and you're still like kind of lost and you're not sure and you don't understand, please reach out to us. We can definitely help you with that. Reach out to your network rep. I know that's not always as easy as it said. But understand your contract before you sign it. Another piece of the contract is the rate, right? So this is another piece. So if you outsource billing, so you're not doing your own billing, this is a piece that you really need to watch out for, and you need to communicate with your biller to make sure that you are going to have access to these contracts and that you guys are going to be able to discuss the rate and who's going to do the rate negotiation, because you don't want to start out just signing whatever rate they give you with at least asking some questions.
Yeah, I mean, most billers that I know of do not rate negotiate. And most billers that I know of, at least the feedback that I've gotten is that they say you don't rate negotiate on your first contract. I do not believe that. This is a great opportunity to practice. But there are some things that you have to go into. You have to have what is the basic, like what is the minimum rate that you can accept for your main codes. So 97153, 97155, 97156, right? We need to know what is the minimum that you can accept for those rates. We do in our consulting, we do have a tool that can help you figure that out. Also margin keepers, shout out to margin keepers. They can also help you with that. But that would be the thing to go in knowing this before you get the contract. And then the other thing that you need to, which again, I do recommend that you rate negotiate even on initial contract. Having your letter done before the contract is given to you. And
like your rate negotiation letter?
Yes. Have everything.
Like what's so great about you and why you deserve the rates that you do?
We did a rate. We've done a rate negotiation podcast. Just put in ABA business leaders rate negotiation. It'll come up. It'll be at the top of the list. So I would urge you, and this is for anybody listening to this, whether you're just about to quit and you're selling or you're brand new and you're thinking about starting. It doesn't matter where you're at. Listen to that podcast. It will be helpful, I believe. And but the having that rate negotiation letter done, but also knowing how long you're going to play the game on that initial contract, because I am very aware that there are some people starting out listening to this, and they got their CAQH and they were immediately terminated from there. And it's awful. I hate to laugh, but I mean, it's awful, but this happens. I think it's ridiculous. But they've been terminated and now they have this like quickly get in network and start, because this was
and you're
their
saying
paycheck.
Like, because CAQH, like if you are in a current, like you're a current employee
Yes.
of another ABA company, and on the side you're starting up your own ABA company, yes. And part of that process is your CAQH. Yes. Like they will get notified, is what he's saying.
So what happens? We'll back it up a little bit. So what happens with a lot of BCBAs is they don't even know what CAQH is, and so they become a BCBA. Their company takes care of all of this. And I saw this very often when we were hiring BCBAs. We would say, okay, I need your NPI. Okay, I got that. Okay, I need your background check. Okay, here's my background.
I
need
your BACB number.
I need all your transcripts of your degree, blah, 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 right? Like, they've got all that. And then I'd say, I need your CAQH. And they go, what was that? And so then we'd find out, okay, the company took care of it. They have complete control over it. And now we're having to get it. So, if that is the situation you're in, you don't even know what CAQH is, then more than likely your, company has complete control over this number that is yours. It belongs to you. It doesn't belong to anybody else. And then what we see happen is that, okay, well, I have to get that number. So I'll have to go, I'll contact them, I'll change the email address. And then what happens is that old email gets an email saying, hey, did you mean to change this? And then the gig's up. At that point, they know, oh, well, Sally changed her CAQH email. Why would she do that? There are only two reasons. If after 15 years you change your CAQH, is because one, you're quitting, or two, you're starting your own company. That's it. Those are the only two reasons. So at this point, I have seen in some cases they'll bring you into the office and they'll immediately terminate you. That's it. And then I've seen the opposite of that, and I've said, please don't go. I'll give you a raise. but both of those things are possible. So I know that there are some people out there that have been that they're like, okay, I no longer have a job. I have to get in network as quickly as possible and start bringing on cases so that I can live. And so I get that. And so rate negotiation can double or triple the time it takes to get in network. And the end result still maybe you're not getting a rate increase. So you need to know what is the minimum rate you can accept. You need your rate negotiation letter done. And you need to know how long you'll play the game of rate negotiation with this funder before you get the contract. Those are the general things. I can do this for 2 months. I can do this for 2 weeks. Like, you need to know what that is. And if you get nothing from rate negotiation, minimum, you should know, okay, when is the next possible opportunity to rate negotiate? So is that in 2 years? Is that in 3 years? Because that will also determine if these rates are good or not, because they may be good now, but I hear inflation is bad. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know where I heard that from, but anyway, inflation's really bad apparently. So these rates may be okay now, but in 3 years, when they're telling you can rate negotiate, are they still going to be good? Right. So that may not be true. So that's just something you need to be aware of, when you are accepting contracts.
So did I say this? I don't even know if I said this already. If I'm repeating myself, just know that it's important to hear. And thanks for listening to it a second time. But even when you're outsourced, you decide as a starter that you're going to have someone else do your billing from the get-go while you take care of other things. And maybe eventually you'll take back over billing or whatever, right? It's super important for you to understand, I think I did mention you need to understand your contracts. You need to talk with your biller about sharing your contracts and talking about rate negotiation. But beyond that, this is your company. And like Steven said earlier, no one's going to care about your billing as much as you, right? Because that's how you get paid most of the time. And so it's super important as starting up that you don't just delegate that and give that over and completely walk away from it. You need to decide how, to what level you're going to stay part of the process. How often you need updates, what updates do you need, what benchmarks do you have in place, how are you going to communicate with your biller, what is your biller willing to communicate, how often are they willing to communicate, if you're on a platform, are there KPIs, are there data numbers within the platform that you're using that gives you what you need. But for us, you had kind of a dashboard that you would keep track of, not just billing, other things you wanted to know, cancellation rate and things like that, from the clinical team, looking at schedules and whatnot. And then, of course, the hours recommendations for certain kids and how much supervision and all, those pieces. But there were other, data points that you would keep track of, just in general for billing to get to just, even when you weren't the one actually doing the day-to-day billing, so that there aren't as many surprises. And then also so that you know what your red flags are, to know when you need to hop in and find out more information before it goes too far. Because also, if you're brand new, you might not know that there is a time limit on that you have to bill a session, right? What's timely payment. And so for most of those, are they 6 months? It depends. It really varies on the payer. So even if you're oh, it's fine, it's just me, and as long as I'm getting a little bit of money all along, I'm okay. Well, just know what your timeline is for being able to bill, and then also to be able to go after the money.
Recoupment?
Well, no, not the recoupment, but the
denials.
Denials, yes. Mm-hmm. So to be able to, like, if something's denied, to be able to go back and ask about that and, like, work on following up for that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can track a million things in RCM, so revenue cycle management. There's two things. That's it. That's all you. What's coming in, what's going, like, what went out, what came in. That's it. Like, there isn't, like, when you're, making $10 million a year, maybe we need to track more things. But, like, for a small company, it's okay. I submitted these claims. How long does it take me to get paid? And how many claims were denied? That's really it. That's all we need to focus on. And then we can get into the nitty gritty on denials. Like, what are the main denials and how can we correct those so they don't continue to happen? But those are the big 3 items that we want to track. And then just for the contract from the funder, like, the big things that you want to know is, who can do what, right? And this is going to be on your rate sheet. It should be. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But, like, what is a behavior technician? What actually does this person need? A 4-year degree? Do they need an RBT certification? Do they just need a GED, right? Like, what is the requirements that are needed? Can a BC ABA provide certain services, or are they treated just like a tech? And concurrent billing. So, like, what can be billed at the same time? Can I do parent training and direct service at the same time, or protocol modification and direct service at the same time? So those are the big things. And then recoupment, how far can they go back? That's really determined by the state. So just knowing your recoupment laws is really important. Again, Google search recoupment laws for insurance. Almost every state has a carve out for fraud. So just know that even though they can only go back a year, let's say, because of the state that you're in. If they say, hey, actually you committed fraud, they can go back as far as they want. So that's something to be aware of. Those are the big things. Like, how do you get out of the contract is another one that you may want to know. Like, typically it's 90 days when it's in writing. So those are the big things that you want to know about. And then some things outside of the contract that are probably going to be in your provider manual is going to be like session note requirements. That's because that's really the biggest issue that you're going to run into with funders is when you get into a recoupment audit, they are going to check your session notes and treatment plans and things like this. And so we want robust session notes when we get into that. And then as far as outsourcing your billing, you also want to read those contracts. So are you tied into a long-term contract with this? And my question to you would be, why do you need me to sign a 12-year or 12-month contract? If you're that great, I would just stay with you. So that's something. And how do you get out of that contract? What if you're not happy with their services? What if they're not getting as their claim percentage as they claim to on their contract? How do you get out of it? So these are important things to consider. Most billers, I believe, require you to sign for 12 months. So that's just something to be aware of, and asking those questions ahead of time is probably a good idea. And then the last thing I'll say, and everybody should be doing this, but don't bill the contracted rate on your claims. So you should have standard rates. And then you would submit your standard rates to all of your funders, whether that be school contracts, early start programs, county contracts, private insurance, whatever it may be. You have standard rates for all of these services that you provide.
Standard rates can and should be above your contracted
Yeah, that's the whole point of these. They should absolutely be
whatever you truly. Now, I mean, don't go putting like $500 an hour for your standard rate, but whatever you truly feel like is the right rate, the going rate, the right weight, like, and then because the idea is like insurance companies. This is this is how Stephen explained it to me to help me to understand is like, if let's say you get, I'm just going to keep it very simple, $100. So that's like 25 per unit, right? If you're like 15-minute units. And so it's essentially like $100 an hour. And that's what your contracted rate is. And you're putting $100 an hour. Then why would the funder ever give you a rate increase? Because you're at where you say you want to and need to be. No. But let's say like if you're even if you put your standard rate as $125 an hour, then that's going, and if that's like a true and real like amount of what would make sense for you to make, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is like, you don't want to put some standard rate, some ridiculous rate. It still needs to be like a reasonable rate. But if it's where you're smiling.
Just what is a reasonable rate? You tell me what a reasonable rate is. So I just need you to know that your contracted rate is not the rate you put on your claims. You should have a standard rate that should be substantially higher than your contracted rates. And I'll tell you, there are two scenarios, and you kind of hit on one, but there's another one that you need to watch out for too. So the first one is, yes, if everybody submits their claims at their contracted rate, the insurance company says, "Oh, look, we're meeting what everybody asked for, so let's cut our rates by 10% because they don't need all that much."
Right.
And so that's one issue that we see. And then the other issue is that if you submit your contracted rates and they give you a rate increase, this does happen, and they don't tell you about it, and you're still billing your same old rate, $65 an hour rate, but now they're actually paying $67. They're not giving you that extra $2 an hour. So you're just out, and that's it. And then by the time you realize, oh, wow, 8 months ago, they gave me a $2 an hour raise and I didn't know about it. And then you find out and they say, oh yeah, we can't pay you that timely payment. You should have claimed that. So this will bypass that issue. So, if you are submitting $80 an hour, then you don't have to worry about it. Right. So you as part of your market analysis, you, and your budgeting and your business plan, you should have come up with rates that you need to run a profitable company. And that's your standard rate. And then what you accept within a contract, that's on you. But your standard rate should be what you believe is a true value, the actual value of your work. So I don't know if that's $500 an hour. I don't know if that's $50 an hour. That's on you to make that decision. I'm not going to go to an attorney and say, "Hey, stop charging $1,000. That's way too much." Right? I don't know what you believe your value is, right? And that's not my call to make. But
Gotcha.
It definitely you should not be submitting one rate to Aetna and one rate to Blue Cross Blue Shield or a different rate to TRICARE. You should have a standard rate that you submit. They won't pay you extra. They'll take it off, right? They will pay your contracted rate, but you should be submitting your standard rate.
Okay. Well, what we've talked about for 40 minutes now is...
We have a 7-hour course and we don't even hit everything on the 7-hour course.
I know. So, there's a lot of pieces. So, if you're feeling overwhelmed, like, wow, this is a lot of information, like it makes sense to feel overwhelmed. And definitely reach out to us and we can help. So let's move on to segment 2. Although a lot of what we have discussed already, really, like you said, it's for all stages. But as you grow in billing, you really want to focus on that consistency and visibility, right? So tracking denials, and really over time, you can start seeing patterns with certain payers, or even patterns within your own in-house billing team or your outsourced billing team, of how quickly they are able to get things turned around. Maybe you, for a while, you were billing monthly, submitting claims monthly, which please don't do that. And then maybe you went down to weekly. Some people even do it daily.
Yeah.
So it just really depends on what works for your team and how, the turnaround of the money. Looking at like denials, what's your percentage of denials that you're able to turn around and get that money back from, right? Like, why are things being denied? Are there certain, patterns there? And if there are, okay, well, let's see what can we do within our processes and procedures to do things differently to try to like prevent these denials.
Yes.
Sometimes also you can have your patterns and your data, and just out of the blue, a payer that you're like, man, this is a really great payer. They follow the same patterns. We have a routine. Things are working great. And then all of a sudden something changes, right?
Yep.
So that's just part of the insurance world. So, knowing that's another reason why we also say not to just have a sole payer or a couple, right? You want to have multiple.
Yeah.
In network audits, making sure your documentation matches billing. The longer that you're in business, the increases the chances of an in-network.
Well,
recoupment audit, right?
Yeah.
Recoupment audit. Sorry. Yeah, I misspoke on that. There again, you're going to visit that outsourcing versus in-house. Okay. Well, if you haven't already, determined a benchmark of when you might make the switch, revisiting that and saying, does it make sense to do it the way that we're doing it right now? Or should we switch it? Or should we, maybe during this growing phase, this expanding, that maybe you're opening a clinic and you're like, okay, well, we've got in-house billing for our clinic A. As we go do clinic B, let's go ahead and outsource for that one. It may look different. Maybe we need to outsource while we grow our billing team.
I just want to touch on one thing, it's definitely related to billing, but it's not. So session notes, like you need some kind of session note auditing system in place. So my recommendation, as soon as you outsource it, again, or you stop doing it, so you do it internally, so you're no longer micromanaging every step, and you're no longer looking at every session note like you would be if you were doing your own billing. That's really the time that you want to have some kind of system in place where you're auditing your own session notes, very similar to a recoupment audit. So you're picking, on random, a few session notes, and you're looking to see if the narrative is correct and it matches what data was taken that day, if there were targets mastered. And I'm just rambling at this point because I just know the words and I think I put them in the right order. But like the place of service matches, the time in, time out matches. A big one that will get a lot of people busted, and it's like completely innocent, is your supervision or your protocol modification is greater than the 97153, right? So that the times don't line up. You want to make sure that those match, right? And that may mean in the note you say, okay, I did this for this amount of time, even though I was there longer, just so that you line those times up. Mm-hmm. And to make sure that the notes of the protocol modification and the direct service match. So like, I don't know, they're working on mans and the text says, oh, we're working on, I don't know, what would be something different than a man. There you go. So like how did these two think? These are two different stories, right? Like how could you have been doing this if the other person was doing that? It just doesn't line up. So those are big things that you want to make sure. It's like, I don't want it to be a lie, but the story has to be this. You have to be doing the same thing, right? Like,
and
you know what I mean?
That's that is one of the struggles with session notes, depending on how you do your session notes. It varies greatly across company to company, and depending on which systems you're using and all of that. But you do have to figure out a system where you're taking the perspective out as much as possible, right? Because when you have two different people who are coming at a session with two different perspectives, really putting some training and some guides in place for them to understand, what language to use, what language not to use, how to show that they're on the same page. Because you're like, I know you guys are on the same page here. Or, to be able to pick out red flags and be like, okay, well, maybe you guys aren't on the same page. We need to really look into this, right? So. And
then the last thing I'll say on this, you definitely want to have a practice management software. Like, I don't think in this day and age you should be using Google Sheets or Excel or paper and pen for session notes. I get that it's free. So what is going to happen in all three of those scenarios is anything that can be left blank will be left blank. I can guarantee it. And what I hear again very often is, I just found, my RBT just quit, and I went back, and I've heard this for BCBAs as well. My behavior analyst just quit, and I realized that for the last 4 weeks, they haven't been doing their session notes. So but I've been submitting the claims. So, this is not a scenario that you want to find yourself in. So I like a practice management software, just removes most of these issues. They can't fill out a session note without everything that is required, right? Now, the narrative may not be the greatest, but the basic information that is needed for the session note is there. So those are, so just, this is something that I would highly recommend. And they're not an affiliate of ours, but Office Puzzles, shout out to them. It's like $20 a month. And it's a month-to-month thing, so you can leave at any point. I've heard great things about it. We have several customers that are billing customers, and they're using it. They really seem to think it's great. Also, Passage Health is another great one that I've not heard any negative things on. But I would urge you to get a practice management software. The first recruitment audit, that practice management software will pay for itself for probably 3 years, just from that first recruitment audit, right?
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just looking back. I forgot to give the reflection question for segment 1 for those beginners. So just quick for that. A great reflection question for yourself would be, have I taken the time to read and understand my insurance contracts? If you've gotten to that point in your system yet, what's one step I can take this month to get credentialing or billing set up correctly, right? So if you're in those beginning stages, you haven't even started yet, maybe doing your research on that. So that brings us to segment 2 for growers, reflection. Do I know my current AR? For those of you who may not know, like accounts receivable and denial rate. Those are good things to check into. If my billing is outsourced, do I still have visibility into reports and outcomes? So those are great ways that you can kind of check in. Okay. So we don't have much time left, but I don't want to forget those of you who are in that closers category. So for our last segment of the podcast, when it's time to sell, billing tells your story. I know I hit on this, like when I was doing the intro to this, but buyers are going to review your contracts, your collections, your aging reports. And clean billing practices increase valuation. Messy ones scare buyers. Knowing your billing reps and your systems make transitions smoother. So billing isn't just about cash flow today. It's part of your legacy and the value of your business. If you're doing the job of like three, maybe you said this back in the policies and procedures episode last week, but if you're doing the job of multiple people, and someone comes in looking to buy your company, that like what's the profitability there, right? If they're going to have to hire 3 people at your salary, like different salaries, right? But it's similar to billing. Like if you're not able to show your books and you're not able to explain your contracts, you're not able to give them like the procedure of how to contact, even if I know some places don't have network reps necessarily anymore, but at least being able to explain how to get to someone that you need to talk to. If you are outsourced the billing, but you don't have a good handle on what your billing people are doing, like, right? Like these things are,
I mean, they may write it into the purchase that we're not on the hook for your lousy session notes that were on paper for the last 3 years. See, that's you. I just, having these systems in place make your company scalable. And when you can scale without you having to work 90 hours a week, that helps your quality of life, because maybe you want to do something else. And it's also going to help with the sale. And when you're getting ready to sell your company, I urge you to say, okay, what is it that I do that nobody else does and has to be done? And how do I remove myself from that? Some of it you may not be able to, and that's okay. Some of it you may not want to, and that's okay. But we should still have systems in place that allow for that to happen. So, even if it's just like, okay, you have to hire this one person to take over these certain jobs because I have not delegated those out, but at least you know what those are, right? Yeah. But if your billing is a mess, your session notes are a mess, you don't you don't know what your denial rate is, you have multiple high valued recoupments. These things are not something a buyer wants to see, right? That's a lot of risk. And again, if you're working 90 hours a week and the profitability is low, I hate to see people in that situation because they may be expecting, oh, wow, I'm going to sell my company for $5 million. Maybe you get 50,000, right? Like this is the reality that a lot of people are finding themselves in. So it's really like, we start this podcast off, the earlier you're working with us, the easier it's going to be to scale this and not fall into those traps that a lot of well-meaning, amazing BCBAs find themselves in, right? So
yeah, definitely. So the reflection question for you closers: if I handed my billing records to a buyer today, I bet a lot of you are like, whoa.
That was us, I will tell you.
Totally. Would they see a healthy, transparent system?
Yeah.
And do I know who my insurance representatives are and how to explain our payer relationship? So just some reflection questions for you guys.
Yeah, and if you are getting there, right, like, and you're ready, and you're scared, right, like if this leaves you with like anxiety and worry and nervousness, just reach out. Like this is fixable, right?
Yes.
This is fixable.
This is fixable. Yes, yeah, totally. We can help you brainstorm and help you not feel so overwhelmed. All right, so a recap and yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways, I thought I was going to say something really clever, but it just left my brain. So billing, credentialing, and audits are not just admin tasks. They're foundational to your business's stability and value. Whether you're starting, scaling, or transitioning, billing tells the story of your practice. So that's what we talked about today. Hope it really made sense to you. I hope you got some takeaways, or if nothing else, just kind of got you thinking, right? Mm-hmm. And so wherever you are in your journey, we can meet you there from setting up. I don't have my prompt set up, but you should set it up. Anyway, so I'm going to restart that. Wherever you are in your journey, I must be like fevering. Wherever you are in your journey, we can meet you there. From setting up, credentialing at the beginning, to supporting outsourced billing, to preparing your financials for a sale. So, closing reflection prompt for today. What's one step I can take this week to strengthen my billing system? Whether that's credentialing, tracking reports, or simply reviewing my contracts. So,
Rate negotiation.
Yeah. All right, guys, that was a lot. That was a lot of information. And as Steven already said, maybe a couple times, it's just a little tiny touch. Yeah. There's so much involved with billing. There's a lot. There's a lot that you need to know. So be smart about it. Do your research. Ask questions. Curiosity is gold. You can never ask too many questions and get your bearing of even what you don't know that you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. So we're here to help and support. Reach out to us. And if you have any questions or stories or comments that you want to share, we may even share them on our podcast. Just give us a call at 737-330-1448 and press option 1, and that will bring you to our podcast hotline of voicemail. So we're excited to hear from you. And on that note, we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.